Hello and welcome to Taking You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I am your host at JP John Paz from the Two Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me, the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, how you doing today, sir?
Doing great, John. How about you?
Doing good, but I think we got to start on a little bit of a sad note here as Sika from the Wild
Yeah.
Samoans, obviously Sika Hawaii, passed away at the age of 79 years old. What do you think about the passing of Sika?
Well, it's going to come to every man one day or another, but I knew Sika pretty well. I went to Japan with him my first trip in 1981. He and Afa, and they took really good care of me. I worked with him a few times, and always a class act. I always liked the Samoans. Always liked Afa and Sika, and yeah, it's very very sad.
Hello, Ibsen.
Hello, Ibsen.
Hello, Brendan.
Brendan as well. That's two. There's three.
John Jones. Barbara. Hi, Dr. Tom. R.I.P. Sika from
Yeah,
Barbara.
yeah.
Yes.
Crazy, crazy week.
Jason and Eric Tate. Hello, Eric.
Very nice. At least we know we
And
have eight people, nine people watching tonight.
the modern day cowboy himself, Mitch Miller, saying hello.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's got to be pretty interesting, though. Heading off to Japan with the Wild Samoans, Afa and Sika. That's got to be fun.
Well, yeah, I've been in Los Angeles for the whole year of 1980, and worked with Fujinami in the Olympic Auditorium, and that got me a trip to Japan. So it was Afa Sika, Bobby Duncombe, Ken Patera. Uh, Gosh, trying to think who else was on that. Oh, Bad News Allen. Yeah, and the Wild Samoans. They invited me to their room. Uh, First night in, didn't know what to expect. Wendy Richter was on that tour too, because she was in the Wild Samoans room. We just sat up there, had a great time.
Man, you actually got to team with them, too, very interestingly enough.
Where did I team with them?
New Japan. So Inoki, Kido, and Fujinami defeated the Samoans and yourself. And then Inoki, Kimura, and Fujinami defeated the Samoans and yourself. So very interesting. 6-man
Well, they
tags over
should.
in
Yeah,
1981.
they should have thought about having a better partner. But yeah, they were a lot of fun, man. Both of those guys were a lot of fun.
Craig, hello to Craig.
British Columbia.
Yes, British Columbia. Ibsen wants to know what message directly would you want to send to Roman Reigns, knowing
Well,
he could see this clip?
yeah, definitely would tell him I'm very sorry about his father. I sent a message to Alpha. We had talked. What is it? June? We're in June. We're about to go
Yep.
to July, so it's back in April. We exchanged messages on Facebook. So, but I would certainly tell Roman how sorry I am that his father passed, and I think he knows that everybody feels that way.
Please ask Dr. Tom if Sika once punched a man by the pool and had his tooth stuck in his hand. Is that true?
Well, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least. It sure wouldn't surprise me if Sika punched somebody and had a tooth in his hand. They
Gotta
were
love
tough
those.
guys, man. Yeah,
Yeah, you
both
gotta
those
love those
guys are
moments.
pretty tough guys. Yeah.
Love that gimmick. You know what I mean? The wild Samoans. It just, I mean, obviously there are wild Samoans, but it just fits them perfectly.
Well, yeah, and the story I always heard was they were in San Francisco and Peter Maivia was really big, and they used to hit the ring all the time, and used to get in a lot of trouble. Till finally, uh, Peter had to sit down with him and tell him, here's the story, guys, and they helped break in. He helped them break into the business. So I've seen clips of those guys when they were really green, and they were still talented. They were just big, bad Samoans, and but nice guys, nicer guys. I don't think you could find.
Brandon saying from all the stories he heard, tough but hearts of gold.
That's exactly right. Really, really, really good. They would give you the shirt off their back.
And man, tag team champions everywhere they went. 3 times in WWF, obviously, but man, everywhere else they were just awesome tag team at
They were
every
a
territory.
formidable tag team. How's that word? Formidable tag
Oh,
team.
yes,
Sure.
yes.
Hmm.
Did you ever go to Allentown, PA, Sika school in the 90s? Did you ever, or did he ever go to your school?
That'd be a no and a no. Never had the opportunity.
When was the last time you saw him?
Wow. Might have been might have been 2007.
At the Hall of Fame, sitting next to Pat
Yeah.
Patterson.
Yeah. Might have been.
Wow, it's been that long. Wow.
Yeah. Could have been that one.
Are you amazed at the legacy of the Samoans? Not just Sika and Afa, but just how it just keeps going and going and going.
Not really. I mean, if you look at it, and it really evolved. And when Yoko came along, that was pretty much etched in stone, I guess, because all those guys could work and they were dependable and for the most part, good people to work for or work with. But no, I wasn't surprised at all. I mean, if you have talent, it's going to come out.
Do you have any memories of matches against the Head Shrinkers?
Sam and Fatu. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they were always good too. Always had good matches with them. Always enjoyed being in the ring with those guys.
I'm always amazed to hear when I ask certain guys like PJ Just Incredible or Tony DeVito or guys that worked them as enhancement guys. I'm like, man, they killed you guys. They stiffed you guys, all this other stuff. He's like, no, they didn't. Not at
Mm,
all. I was like, wow, it looked like they were
right.
killing you guys. Yeah.
That's the art of the business.
Yep.
I was telling somebody earlier this week, the art of this business is to make it look one way and feel another. So make it look like you're killing somebody without really killing somebody, and that's the art part.
I was talking to a guy from Calgary, and he said the same exact thing. You know the guy, he wrestled before, but he said the same exact thing. He's like, it look like you're killing the guy, but don't actually do
Right.
it. Yeah.
That's what this is. It's been told many, many times.
Is Sika a ribber? Was Sika a ribber?
No, no. Well, he didn't. He never ribbed me, and he just seemed like a mellow guy. He and off of both, just two mellow guys. Didn't want to rib, don't want to be ribbed, and they don't rib and don't want to be ribbed.
Magazine Retriever. I felt so bad for Sika when his son Rosie passed away. Rosie was only 47 years old when he passed.
Yeah, that was sad too. It was very sad.
Way too young. Way
Yeah.
too young. Has Dr. Tom ever trained any Samoan wrestlers?
There's this one guy called The Rock.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Remember
yeah,
remember him?
yeah.
What did
He
he
was,
do? Who did he ever beat?
yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to him.
Outside of The Rock, though, nobody?
No, not that I can think of. Trained a bunch of guys that look like Samoans.
Which is also good. Dell says altogether Sika had 5 children, including Rosie and Roman Reigns. Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
Brendan said The Rock. Nah, he never got that big.
that's true. Good point.
He also said he thought Captain Lou was the perfect manager for Alpha and Sika.
Yeah, Captain was out there, and he would be the guy that you'd give Wildman to. Captain Lou managed Buzz Sawyer too for a little bit for Buzz's cup of coffee in WWF at the time. So I think they always gave Captain the guys they thought that he might need to rein in, or they need to rein him in. Either way it was, they were a good pair.
Above the Fold Media Services, aka ATF Media. NASA was talking about methods to destroy a comet headed towards Earth. Do you think they should hire Hands of Stone Ronnie Garvin instead, just to punch it?
That sounds like who else has some Ronnie Garvin's questions?
Well, hey, it looks like he changed his name on here in his
Yeah,
picture.
it looks
It
like they
was
did
ATF, so now
aliases.
he's just using the full acronym there. Above the full,
Yes,
he's using the full
I
name.
think Ronnie Garvin would certainly be the man to hire to punch a comet headed towards Earth.
Mitch is saying the Samoans could tell stories with their eyes, always looking crazy, mean, or surprised.
They told stories with their eyes. They would do little things that made you look like again uh, that they were killing you when in reality they weren't. You know, they were great guys, and that's storytelling 101, facials, body language, and they knew how to do that to a T.
Did Dr. Tom help train Umaga?
No, I never had any hand in Umaga. He might have. I don't think he was in OEW, was he?
Not as far as I remember. I remember
No,
he
I
was
don't
in
think so.
Heartland for a minute,
Yeah.
but I don't
Oh,
remember
wait a
him.
minute. Yeah. He was in Heartland, but I would just go in and check on those guys. Uh, yeah, they were in Cincinnati. That's right. So I forgot
I
about
don't. I
Cincinnati.
don't know about OVW. Maybe a
No,
match or two, but I don't think they were there.
no, I remember. I remember now. Les telling me about those guys in Cincinnati, and I'd go down and see them there.
Funny though, I don't know if how much training they needed at that point because God,
Right.
Rosie had been wrestling since the '90s. Umago's ready in Japan and wrestling everywhere else. I don't know how much Heartland wrestling that they needed.
Well, I think it was just to keep them there doing something, so they're not anywhere else doing something else. You know,
Yep.
trying to keep them in shape and keep them ready to go when there was something for them to do.
Barber says, let's not overlook the Samoan women. They are tough as well.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're all tough. I think there's something in the water.
Yes, 100%. Craig wants to know were the Samoans pot smokers or more into alcohol?
I believe they were pot smokers and not as much into alcohol. You know, I think they would drink, but uh, the marijuana puts you in a different place than it does when you're drunk.
Could see that.
Yeah.
Did Afa and Sika keep a ring in their yard to train the younger generation?
I don't know if they did or not. I'm not sure. Really don't know. You know, Sam and I, real quick story. Sam and I drove from Atlanta to Birmingham, and I was making the loop in Continental back when I was wrestling in Georgia. Sam wanted to make the trip with me because we'd wind up back in Pensacola, and that's where everybody was living. And after Birmingham, we stopped and got something to eat and got our beer and everything else, and we're getting ready to go. And I'm driving along, and all of a sudden something ran across the road, and I swerved, and I hit a parked car on the side of the road on the interstate going out of Birmingham, Alabama. Sam's knee went through my glove box. His head went through the windshield. My head went through the windshield. We weren't hurt, but anyway, long story short, this very nice man and woman stopped to help us, and they took us back to her apartment to stay the night to help us get a car the next morning because the airport was already closed. And they had towed my car somewhere in Birmingham. And the next night they took me, Sam and me, to the airport. We got a car, and I promised I was going to ride him and thank him and send him a very nice gift. And I never did. And about 5 years later, I'm in Birmingham at a bar at the Radisson, and this girl's checking me out. I'm thinking, yeah, she's looking at me, and she comes walking right over to me, and I'm thinking, all right. And she comes over and says, hey, did you wreck your car here about 5 years ago? Are you a wrestler? I said, yeah. She says, did you wreck your car here 5 years ago? She said, oh, man, we picked you up. So you just never know, who you're going to run into down the road who helps you. And so you better be careful who
Be
you
nice to
cross.
everybody.
Yeah, be nice to everybody. Make sure you send that thank you note. Because I didn't. Mm,
Yeah, you got to send that thank you note for
yeah.
sure.
Mm.
ATF, by the way, throws out there, it's because I'm logged into my personal email instead of my work email. That's why. That's why we're getting the whole name here, not just ATF. But he still loves Ronnie Garvin regardless.
Right. No, just ATF above the fold. There we go.
Yeah.
Media
Yep.
services. There you go.
Yep. Would you, or why do you think Sika never became a manager like Alpha did? Why did he not go that route?
Maybe you just didn't want to. Sometimes it's just not your thing. I can understand that now looking back. I don't know that I would want to manage anybody right now. It's one of those things. It's a different animal altogether.
Frank Nordquist. It's amazing to me to hear Captain Lou Albano speaking Samoan.
He spoke perfect Samoan. Yeah.
Why do you think the Samoans love these fat white guys like Albano and Heyman? Why do you think that is?
Well, wouldn't you?
I mean, they are perfect fits, but it's just
Yeah.
interesting. The Samoans just like kind of bring them into their culture.
Well, if you look at Albano and you look at Paul Heyman, they both could talk. They were
Oh yeah.
entertaining. Um, there was something sleazy about them, and most of the time, the Samoans were heels. Uh, and it fit the part. It really did.
Besides Haku, who would be the second toughest Samoan?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one, man. Maybe the guy who debuted this week, Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
The Samoan werewolf.
Hmm.
Loved the debut. Really well done. The best part about it, it seemed like Tama Tonga and Tongaloa were unsure of what was going on because they kind of get beat up and thrown out of the ring. He comes out basically by himself and he beats up three guys by himself. Beats the crap out of Owens, beats the crap out of Orton, and then puts Cody Rhodes to a table all by himself. And the other guys, besides Solo, were like, wondering, well, what the hell's going on? Then Solo does the one, then he does the one, and then they all do the one behind him. Like they were happy with him. But they built him up like, man, like what a great debut. You can't debut better than that. Beat up the champ, beat up Randy Orton, beat up Owens. They're calling him the werewolf. They're telling, talking about this guy's a criminal, which is funny because that's a part of the reason why supposedly they didn't hire him in the past because he had a criminal background. And
Right.
now they're pumping it up that he's a criminal on TV.
Well, I think Paul foreshadowed that not too long ago when he said
Yes.
these guys, some rough characters they're bringing in, and you don't know who they're dealing with, and it's good to bring some of that fact and fiction together and mix it up like a daiquiri and let everybody have a taste, because if anybody dives in his past, they'll find out, and they already have. So, we all make mistakes. We're entitled to correct them and see where it takes us down the road.
That was great. I just thought that was a great SmackDown. The Chicago crowd is obviously always great. They're always nuts, but they were loving Jacob Fatu. Ton of heat to end the night and have him just destroy all the baby faces and the bloodline looking pretty damn strong. I just love that debut by Jacob Fatu. And of course, keeping his name. If it was Vince, I'm sure he'd have a different name. I'm sure he wouldn't be Jacob Fatu either.
Yeah. Well, things are changing, I hear.
Oh yeah, looks like he's slimmed down a little bit. It looked like maybe that's where he was for the last few months, getting in really good shape.
Could be. Could very well be. He could have been in some top secret training down in Orlando, too. You never know.
Are you a Jacob Fatu fan?
Yes, I am. I saw him in MLW and became a fan instantly. Yeah, he's athletic. He's a badass. He knows how to work, and I think he's going to get over like gangbusters, man.
He's pretty legit too, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like Solo, but I think he's better than Solo. We'll see WWE, but I just automatically from watching all of his stuff in MLW, I think he's better than Solo right off the bat.
Well, I don't know if he's better than, but he sure fits the mold for what they're doing and what they're going for. The bloodline is going to stay strong for a while.
Oh yeah. Scorch, I thought the 3-minute warning was an interesting tag team concept. The two Samoan wrestlers managed by the eccentric Rico.
Yeah, they were interesting. They were a good tag team as well. But and I like Rico. Rico is a good, interesting character as well. So
Very
yeah,
good,
I thought
yeah.
I thought it was a great tag team.
Loved obviously it was Jamal at that point, but Umaga, he was great. Loved Umaga. One of the best.
Yeah, I agree.
Pretty cool little gimmick too with Bischoff. I'll give you 3 minutes, and then they would come out and wipe the floor with everybody. Cool gimmick.
Yeah, very cool gimmick.
Ibsen, something funny on YouTube is a video of Mr. Fuji introducing Sika as his newest wrestler under him. Then here comes Sika with a 10-foot long hoagie. The sandwich kept going and going.
Well, Ibsen, that sounded pretty cool. I just don't remember that.
Yeah, me neither, oddly. But I do remember Fuji and Sika together. I just don't remember the hoagie. I like it. I'm going to have
Yeah,
to check that out on YouTube.
10-foot hoagie.
Barbara's just saying, please remember to send your thank you notes.
Well, if
Please.
somebody does a good deed for you, do a good deed back. I mean, just at least say thank you. That's the very least you can do.
Aussie prison stories. Hello, everyone. I came to this awesome channel for comfort as I'm sad and depressed because I'm homeless and my best friend died 2 days ago. Wow, very, very sorry to hear that. Jeez Louise.
Well, if you're homeless, what are you watching this on?
Phone, his phone probably. I
Oh,
love.
oh, the phone. I
Yeah,
got
of
you.
course. Yeah,
Cool.
I love wrestling. It's his happy place. It's music to him. He loves wrestling.
Well, that's cool.
The best to the Aussie guy there. Barbara says Pat Patterson tells a story in San Francisco and a bunch of Samoan fans running towards the ring, and he got very scared.
I'd be scared too. Yeah, I'd be really scared. And that's probably when Peter Maivia is smarting him up. Told him what's going down.
From Scorch, this is from earlier. Good evening. What are your thoughts on Too Cold Scorpio defending himself from an indoor smoker at a gas station?
I heard something about that, but I don't know all the details. So if it was self defense, he has a right. He obviously has a right to defend himself, but I don't know all the details. I really don't. I mean, that's a little much if a guy was smoking, to stab him, but if the guy called him outside and then gets physical with Scorpio, I mean, he has a right to defend himself.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was curious. I'm hoping anyway because I don't want him to go to jail. We love Too Cold Scorpio. I'm hoping it's self defense.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Did you ever wrestle Scorpio at all?
No,
I know you guys crossed
uh,
paths. But
no, we've crossed paths. I've met him before. We've talked before, but never wrestled.
Aussie, his name's Adam. Hello, Adam. Hope you're all well and safe. Hello, Adam.
Well, Adam, we hope you're well and safe.
Ibsen is throwing a little wrinkle into our plans here. He's saying Haku is Tongan, which is definitely, it's just technically true. He is technically true on that.
Okay,
So the toughest Samoan wrestler, I guess, would be Jacob Fatu. And then we'd have to find a number two. We'd have to find one.
of course.
Magazine said, I remember when the Wild Samoans would accompany the head shrinkers to the ring along with Lou Albano. Yes, that was interesting. Felt like maybe a bit much. They had Afa out there. They had Captain Lou. They had the head shrinkers. Maybe a little much.
Well, maybe for that time period, but look what we have now. I mean, we've got the bloodline. Look how many people come out today. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I see that.
Modern day cowboy himself says, I would love to see a Samoan battle royal. All participants must have a connection to the bloodline. You like
Well,
that?
there's enough of the family to do it. There certainly is enough to do it with.
You know what's crazy? Okay, there's 4 guys in the bloodline right now, plus the Usos, plus Roman, right? So there's 7 guys. Supposedly, they're signing Haku's other son, Hikaluyo, who's basically 6'5", whatever, 6'6", big dude. So
Yeah,
supposedly they're going to sign him, and then Zilla Fatu is out there as well. So I mean, you got Umaga's son out there who's kind of on. I mean, he's probably a little bit young. He's got some greenness in him, but he's going to be signed too. So I mean, there's like never-ending guys that are
yeah,
Samoan that are going to get signed.
yeah. That's what I mean. There's nothing the family have about a royal, but I certainly want to have any of them pissed at me.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a language barrier that held Sika back from being one of Vince's agents in the 90s? He would have been perfect.
No, I don't think it was a language barrier. Once again, it's one of those things that what do you want to do? Being an agent isn't all it's cracked up to be. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Um, Sometimes, I mean, you just can't win, and that was a lot of responsibility and just a lot of. It's a whole lot different than just coming to the show and having a wrestle because you got more responsibility, and then it's up to you to try and give the guys a vision of what you see and maybe help them put their match together, and that's not for everybody.
Do you think the Wild Samoans were better baby faces or heels?
I loved them as heels. I think they're great heels, believable, crazy heels, wild Samoans. And there was a possibility. I remember the first time. I saw the Sheik live, and I was working for Paul Bosch, and I just, I knew it was work, I knew it was business, but still, there was something about the Sheik that had this mystique about him, and they brought a snake for him to take out that night. I was in the hallway of the locker room in Houston, and I remember the Sheik came out, and first thing he said, he goes, "Well, that's a big goddamn snake." I thought, wait a minute, this is a Sheik. The guy who brought all these snakes out in Detroit and everything. And they had this huge python, and so Sheik obviously he had been a babyface in places too, and maybe in Detroit he switched back and forth, but guys like that, Abdullah the Butcher, who kept everything close to the vest and they worked the gimmick to the hilt and never smartened anybody up. That was the way the Samoans were. I think they were much better heels than baby faces.
Agreed. Cody spoke on a house show after his match. Cody said he had 2 broken ribs because of the attack by Jacob Fatu. Probably a bit tongue in cheek there, a bit of a storyline, but I love that. You gotta pump it up.
Yeah, yeah, and it's feasible, I guess, because he did a dive on the table, right? He broke the
Yeah.
table with Cody. Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, that could happen. That could happen accidentally. It could happen for real, and people buy into it.
I thought it was great because Cody said they told me the doctors told him not to wrestle in Kalamazoo in this other town and not to do MSG. But guess what? He's doing typical
I
babyface, but
got
he's
it.
doing it anyway.
You
He's
damn
getting
right.
1978 started with the dream in MSG. That's the beginning of the story, and I finished the story. I'm not missing MSG SmackDown because of Jacob Fatu breaking my ribs. It was good babyface stuff.
Right. He tore his pec with Seth too, and he's still
Yeah.
wrestling. So Cody's proven to be a tough champion.
Oh, no doubt. Jacob Fatu had that crazy Samoan look in his eyes during his debut. I agree.
Yes, he did.
Murphy, good evening, lads. Dr. Tom, how was the latest graduation
Murphy, the
event?
latest graduation event was tremendous. Missed you being there, man.
You know what I wanted to bring up
What's
before I
that?
forget, just because I thought this was hilarious.
Think
So
about it before you bring it up. Now, hold on. Think about it before you bring it up.
I'm thinking right.
I've had a long day. So,
SmackDown, right? Up in ratings. It was like 2.34 million versus Game 6 of the NHL playoffs. And people say, oh, NHL playoffs, but their NHL playoffs had the highest ratings they had in decades. So, I mean, they were up, but SmackDown was up in the rating. Raw versus Game 7. Game 7, it was the highest, I think, in 20 years, the highest rating that NHL ever did. Raw was up. Now, last week, Dynamite kind of making excuses. They were down. They had the lowest Dynamite ever for a traditional Wednesday night show. Only 500,000 people. One of the excuses was that Black Panther was the lead in for the show. So I was like, okay, that's a weird, because they wasn't Big Bang Theory. Okay, it's weird. The other excuse I heard, and I couldn't stop laughing at this, good weather in the Northeast. That's why the rating was down.
the
What are your
rating was
thoughts?
down for
Dynamite last week for AEW.
for AEW. Oh,
Do you ever
Well,
use good weather as an excuse? Like, did the Attitude ever
well,
have a good weather as an excuse?
well, there's a store here called Weigel's, and they usually have a special on Slurpees.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, like you can get a Slurpee for $1, a big Slurpee for $1 on Saturday nights. I think is that when Dynamite plays
no,
Saturday,
Wednesday night. No,
Wednesday.
Wednesday night.
That's what it was. On Wednesday they have a
Yeah.
special on Slurpees down
I
at
couldn't believe that the
Weigel's.
good weather
Of
was
course.
being used as an excuse. Good weather at
Well,
eight
what else are
o'clock
you
at
going to
night
say? Our show sucks.
on Wednesday. I don't know. I just thought that was crazy. I'm like, good weather, Jesus! Like the Monday Night Wars, they never had good weather during the Monday Night Wars when they were kicking ass
No,
on TV.
never. No, I remember that was torrential downpour and
I know, just so
snow and ice, and I remember we were on the brink of disaster. We were going to. I remember President Johnson got on TV and said we have to abandon all our TV watching and save the nation. I was out of school. I was out of school
oh
for years because of that.
wow, that's crazy, absolutely
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Speaking of crazy, why wasn't Sika considered to be one of the list of legit tough guys? We always hear about Haku, Harley Race, Terry Funk. Why not Sika?
Maybe he was. I mean, I'm sure he might have been on somebody's list, but I think the Samoans were those guys that they had that intimidation factor, and they didn't have to prove it. They didn't have to go in, and from all my understanding, they weren't bullies or anything like that. I never seen them be bullies, but I never, again, I don't think anybody ever wanted to try them. But guys like Haku, for whatever reason, I guess they always felt that they had to try. And maybe Sika and Alpha didn't go to the bars. At least, from what I understand, I take that back. They got really drunk in Japan. Sika drop kicked a police car when I was over there. When Bad News Allen and we had all gone to an establishment that serves alcohol,
Hmm.
and we all got drunk, and the Samoans and Mr. Ueda and Tiger Jeet Singh came out and started a fight. They were working, but the cops came, and it was in front of all the Japanese fans, and uh, big, big fiasco over there. They got thrown in jail, had to get bailed out. Big thing. So I don't think anybody really wanted to mess with the Samoans.
Smart. Adam's saying, I hope Roman Reigns comes back to WWE. I'm hoping soon. I want him to be on SummerSlam. I keep hearing he's going to make a return at SummerSlam, but I want him on the card. I want him wrestling at SummerSlam.
Well, who else? Who else? Why wouldn't he wrestle at SummerSlam?
I don't know. The rumor, who knows if it's true, is that he's going to return at SummerSlam, but who
Oh, I
knows?
see. Well, I think it'd be great for him to come back. He's going to come back. We just have to wait and see.
Yep. Barbara really liked the Samoan SWAT team. Were they underrated?
They were. I don't think they were used that well either. Samoa
No.
SWAT team was managed by Paul too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think it was probably a combination of being underrated and underused, and didn't know how to use them properly.
Good evening. Happy Wednesday. R.I.P. Sika, one of the first characters I remember as a kid from Phil.
Yeah, he's easy to remember, man. He's a scary guy when he wants to be.
Frank says, I thought I remembered the Wild Samoans in a four-man tag team with the Islanders at a pay-per-view, but I couldn't find anything online that mentions them teaming up. I don't remember that either. That would be amazing if the Islanders
I
teamed up with the Samoans. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember
thought
it
the
either.
Samoans were gone at that point.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love the Islanders, too. Another awesome
mm,
half Samoan, half Tongan tag team there with Tonga Kid and Haku. Love the Islanders.
yeah, yeah. I
Speaking
don't
of
remember that either, though.
speaking of Tonga Kid, that's Jacob's dad, the Tonga Kid.
Oh, okay.
I ran into Jacob Fatu at MLW and I said, hey, tell your dad he's a legend because I interviewed him a few times or whatever. He goes, how do you know who my dad is? I was like, I was like, I'm over 40. I was like, I'm older than you are. I think everybody knows who Tonka Kid is. He goes, oh, he goes, some people don't remember my dad. I'm like, oh, they should remember your dad. Jeez.
Right,
Come
right.
on, Tonka Kid.
It's like a
Yeah.
lot of people don't remember the Freebirds, and I think they should.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
let me just get my Michael
Oh,
Hayes
oh,
promo
oh,
talking
oh,
there.
oh. Yes, he's gonna get mad. He's gonna be mad. Is Solo able to sell his new gimmick, or does he lack charisma? What is Doctor Tom's opinion?
What is Solo's new gimmick?
Well, he's like the new head of the table. He wears that nice
Oh, okay,
jacket.
that
He's got
new.
the
Well,
gloves.
I'm sorry. I
Yep.
didn't think it was that new anymore. No, I think Solo's going to be just fine. He may be finding his way in there, stepping, but I think
Yeah, I
he'll
feel
be
like he's
fine.
really stepping it up big time last few months.
Yeah, sneeze.
Oh, oh, bless you, bless you. My God, oof, bless you,
Oh,
Doctor Tom. Oof. Robert wants to know who is Claudio Castagnoli talking to. I would love to know as well.
who's
Probably
Claudio?
a Japanese guy on Dynamite.
Who is he talking to? Oh, right now.
It
Yeah,
must be Dynamite. Yeah. The Wyatt Six is called the Wyatt Six, but who is the sixth member? Maybe Alexa Bliss will be the sixth member. What's your thoughts? Who is the sixth member of the Wyatt Six?
well, we got a group here called the Southern Six, and there's only four people. No, five people there too, and it's kind of just a takeoff on the name. But if the White Six is looking to have six people in it, uh,
I was thinking that it's Bray Wyatt, like
yeah, exactly.
posthumously or like kind of like around the group, and he's the sixth. Like he's like the leader, but he's like the sixth guy who talks to Uncle
So he's
Howdy.
the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's what I mean. You don't have to have six people in it, but you have that one spirit entity who's leading the
Yes.
charge. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Alexa Bliss returning. I know that. I love Alexa Bliss, but I think Bray Wyatt will probably be that sixth member. Although Bo Dallas, that was pretty interesting. Him talking to Uncle Howdy and going back and forth. That was interesting.
I did see that. Yeah, I thought that was very good.
Just kind of wonder what they would do. Like, how do you follow it up? Like, ooh, like they made it more interesting, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's up to them to pull it off.
Aloha. Ask him about the legendary UFC beast, Tank Abbott. Did you know him? Did you like him?
I met Tank one time in studios in Stanford. Got in the ring with him a little bit. He's didn't really know him very well. Seemed like a nice enough guy. Just seemed like a very stern fella.
What was he doing at the studios in Stanford?
Looking for a job.
Oh, wow, interesting. They should have hired him.
Didn't wasn't Tank there for a little bit?
No, WCW.
Okay, so he went WCW
Yeah.
instead. Could be. No, he got in the ring a little bit. He was stern fella. He seemed all right.
Little green though.
Little green, tough guy.
Oh yeah, legit badass for sure.
Yeah.
Colton Grundy, by the way, loves you.
Well, thanks, Colton.
Have you heard any of Rakishi's new rap songs? It is a
I,
lot better than Macho Man. Have you heard?
I have not. I didn't know Rikishi was doing rap.
I haven't heard it either. Now I got to check it out. That sounds insane, but I love it. I'm a big Rikishi fan. What's one thing that or that all of Sika's offsprings have that you notice that's perfect? Promos, ring work, psychology. What about his offspring?
Um, well, I think the ring work is pretty close to perfect. So, yeah.
What do you think about Solo being the head of the table? Adam is saying that he's lost more than he's won.
Well, yeah, but he's still head of the table because Roman's out,
Yeah.
and for right now, he's assuming that spot. So I don't have a problem with it.
Justin, I met Dr. Tom Prichard in Memphis. Prichard.
Well, it's been a while then, Justin.
Nice. This is Rikishi, by the way. He raps about past wrestling event and uses old promo clips to open up certain songs. Does that entice you at all?
Well, I'd like to just see it and hear it just because it's Rikishi.
Phil says Tony Atlas often spoke of the toughness of Sika.
I can see that.
Afa mentioned a match he had with Junkyard Dog where Afa's eyeball popped out of its socket. Afa was appreciative to Paul Orndorff for driving him to the hospital to have his eye put back into place.
Wow. I never heard that one either.
Me neither. That's interesting. Jeez.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of a little gross as well, to be honest.
Well, we
Did Dr. Tom ever work with High Chief Peter Maivia? Speaking of knocked out eyeballs, he knocked out Billy Robinson's eyeball.
No, I met Peter in California when he came in for a few shots, but I never worked with him.
Jason saying the next AEW excuse for low ratings, a Johnny Carson rerun had Bob Euchre on at the same time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do love the excuses. I don't know why that one really tickled me. Good weather. I was like, oh my God.
Well,
Come
yeah,
on.
you gotta, yeah.
Dr. Tom, can you tell us the story behind the Nature Boy Buddy Landell pulling a gun on you at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles? Wow. What in the world?
Never heard this one.
Oh, so it's not true.
So, well, it might be true. I just wasn't there. He might have pulled a gun on me in spirit, I guess. No, Buddy Landell never pulled a gun on me at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. But that's good though. I appreciate that.
Eric is saying prayers for Jim Ross back at the hospital again for shortness of breath. So hopefully JR is doing okay.
Oh, JR's in the hospital?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, prayers for JR.
Tonga Kid did a great job with Rowdy Roddy Piper and Body Slam. Very underrated wrestling movie, says Brendan. I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Good movie.
With that too.
Was there a reason why Vince didn't want to make Yokozuna a Samoan because there was already many Samoans there, or did he want a different culture as far as his character?
I think it's just I think it's just one of those things where he had the Wild Samoans and now he's got this big Yokozuna, this big what is it called? Yokozuna is the highest that you can get in sumo wrestling, right?
Like the super champ, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he just wanted to do that route instead of rehashing the Samoan dynasty, which they're doing now, and it works very well. But at that time, I think that was the thinking. But I really can't get inside of Vince's head and tell you what he was thinking.
Adam is saying, I think the sixth member is the spirit of Bray Wyatt. And then Humble is saying Bray's spirit is in that lamp. Interesting.
Very nice. Yeah, I can see that.
Scorch says, I enjoy the Islanders' feud with the British Bulldogs when Bobby Heenan and the Islanders kidnapped Matilda, the Bulldog. They got a lot of heat. That is true. They got a ton of heat.
Yeah.
Especially Bobby the Brain.
Yes. Did they eat Matilda?
No, I hope not. Jeez. But they did kind of tease that they were going to eat her, though.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
I heard that Yokozuna was a very good basketball player. Did Dr. Tom ever see this or play a game of one-on-one with him? Is this true?
No, I never heard that either. Never saw Yoko play basketball.
I never saw Yoko play, but I did see videos of Dusty play. Dusty was actually a pretty good basketball player.
Yeah, Dusty was a good athlete. In his younger days, Dream could fly and Dream could move. He was a hell of an athlete. Even in his later days, I'll say that, man. I'm going to have to give it to Dusty Rhodes because he was certainly one of the best.
Did Jimmy Cornette ever speak with you about Sika, the Trailblazer?
No, I don't believe we ever had a discussion about Sika or the Wild Samoans. Never came up.
Here is something I wanted to bring up to you before as well. I forgot when we were talking about AEW. Adam is saying there's talks about Shane McMahon going to AEW. What do you think about Shane McMahon and these AEW rumors? Have you heard them?
I heard it, was it last week or this week? Yeah, whatever it was. I did hear that there had been discussion. Then Tony Khan said there had been no discussion. But that would be an interesting twist, don't you think?
Yeah,
Of
I feel like
shit.
people would be interested in AEW if Shane actually joined. That would be super interesting.
Yeah, but would Shane really want to go there? Would Shane really want to do it? With all the everything I've heard about AEW, um, doesn't always sound appealing, and I'm sure it wouldn't sound that appealing to Shane if he didn't have his say in there.
That's true. They'd have to make him like part owner or something if you went there. I mean,
Well, it'd have to be something more than just a
yeah,
face,
wrestler. Yeah.
yeah, than a wrestler. He'd have to have some kind of something in there to make people really talk.
Did you ever use weapons in ECW from Ernest Cook?
Yes, I used a samurai. What's the sword? The kendo stick. I
Yes.
was going to say samurai sword, but it's not a samurai sword. It's a kendo stick. Yes, I used kendo stick and beat the hell out of. I think it was Tommy Dreamer and Public Enemy one night.
Nice.
Mhm.
Phil says we missed the obvious rating excuse for Wednesday. Said they're watching Taking You to School with Dr. Tom and John Paz. Yes, I
Oh,
agree. I
yeah.
agree.
We probably have about as many people watching as they do.
Yeah. Was Sika ever backstage visiting you when you were an agent during the Attitude Era? Did you ever see Sika back then?
I'm sure I did. I mean, I'm sure he came back uh, whenever we were in the area. I can't remember when.
Mr. Fuji should have been the kidnapper for Matilda for a barbecue, says Craig. That's not a bad thing.
See, Fuji would have suggested that. That would have been crazy.
Hannibal wants to know, does Dr. Tom have a question he wants to ask to Vince Russo? Maybe you want to ask him if he killed WCW or not.
No, I don't think it was all Vince's fault. I don't think Russo's. You can't put the blame on just one guy, especially Vince Russo. He came in and did the best he could do. It was already going downhill by the time he got it.
Ragu is saying Shane would be a plant for Vinnie Mac if he ever went to AEW.
Well, I don't know what he planned for Vince. I don't know what Vince wants to do with AEW, if anything.
It's great to see that the McMahon family and the Sika family go way back since the 50s. Whoa.
Hmm. Yeah.
Whoa. Do you have any stories of Kurt Angle starting out?
Well, I did see him having a future, and definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. But no, Kurt was a good guy. He was always on time. He was a hard worker in the ring. But no specific stories I can think of.
AEW is part indie wrestler lifestyle with millionaire money. Turning out that's not always a good mix. Yeah,
Not
that's true.
always a good mix. No, I agree. Not always a good mix. But I'm glad those guys have a place to go, and it is another area to go for people who get released from WWE. At least, it's a place they're going to make a living. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. And even get competitive money, sometimes more money going there,
Yeah,
believe it or not.
I believe it.
Look at Edge. Edge got paid a fortune to head over there.
Yeah.
ATF, he's back with his other name here. Says he has a question for Russo. He said, does he know a sentence that consists of multiple words, not every word being a sentence? Interesting. I thought he was going to say, bro, bro.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Adam is saying, why isn't Cody known as the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion?
Is he not?
They cut off Universal, so now they just say he's the WWE Undisputed Champion. I guess to make it shorter.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Because he's the WWE Undisputed Champion. Then they have the World Champion too. So Universal and the World could collide in meaning, I guess.
He was saying because Roman was the whole thing. WB undisputed, like it was longer for Roman, but they kind of cut it short for Cody a bit, just as far as the naming of the title.
Well, that could be a Triple H decision.
What do you think about this conspiracy theory? Russo was acting for Vince McMahon in WCW, who took
No,
him down.
no. But then again, I wouldn't put anything past anybody these days or those days either. But I doubt it. I doubt it.
How about a Russo drinking game? Every time he says "bro," you have to take a shot.
I'd be wasted. I'd be wasting 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, less probably. Yeah, for sure. When Dr. Tom is running a wrestling company, does it depend on more house shows, pay per views, or how you sell commercials during your shows?
Well, these days it's certainly different than what it was back in the territory days. You depending on house shows and TV. But I think when doing a wrestling company today, it's all encompassing from commercials to uh, merchandise, live events, the whole thing.
And very interesting lately with all that, but with WWE, what they're working with TNA, they're working with Pro Wrestling Noah, and they're working with Marigold. So they're kind of expanding their horizons, working with smaller companies too, which is interesting.
Well, that's again. I think that's a Triple H move because he recognizes that the independents are where a lot you're going to find a lot of guys, and he did Independence 2 coming up. So yeah, I can see that.
Ibsen is saying, Dr. Tom, you should send Roman a copy of your book and sign it for him.
He got it when we were in FCW. He got everything that's in the
Nice.
book in FCW.
Nice. Where could, speaking of the book, where can everybody get the book? And if they want an autographed copy, where can they get it signed?
Well, you can go to jpwrestlingacademy.com, click on the training tab at the top of the page, and you can order. And if you'd like a autograph copy, just email me at jpwrestlingacademy@gmail.com, and we'll get that out to you.
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Two Man Power Trick. Follow Dr. Tom at Dr. Tom Prichard. Jason is saying, by the way, Jane Fonda killed WCW with a cabbage fart. What do you think about that?
I've heard that. I've heard that before. I heard that on
you
camera.
have? Okay.
Yeah.
He says, thank you. Thank you. Dr. Tom should be in the Hall of Fame. Your book is a must have for any future champion.
Well, I couldn't agree more, Barbara. Thank you.
Did you happen to finish Who Killed WCW? Did you happen to see the ending of it?
No. What's the
Oh,
conclusion?
well, everybody kind of had their own different conclusion. They all kind of had their own different thing, but it was the vast majority said Brad Siegel, Jamie Kellner, and the executives of Time Warner for sure. Booker
Hmm.
T shockingly was the only person that kind of blamed Bischoff for it. But it was funny because then they cut to The Rock, and The Rock says you can't blame Bischoff, that he'd be on the Mount Rushmore of executives. And then they cut to Nash, and Nash goes, Bischoff is the only MFer that can wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, and say, I beat Vince McMahon. He said he's the only guy ever. So he goes, not too shabby. So I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can't really blame Bischoff either. And Bischoff was sent away for a while. Then they had Russo come in, and then Russo left. I mean, it was just too much turmoil. I don't think you can blame Bischoff, to be honest, at all.
No, I think the executives in Atlanta just didn't care for wrestling at all.
And then the Stu Snyder little snag in there too, which is so interesting, that he says isn't true because obviously he would probably be in jail if it was true. But him and Brad Siegel were old like college buddies. Then they'd known each other for their whole careers. All of a sudden, Siegel contacts Snyder. Snyder works for WWF. He sells WWF for 4 million or whatever, 4.3 million. But they had an offer for 65 million, but they took that offer and they said, well, we'll just take it off the television. So Fusion Media and Bischoff can't have it or don't want it. So there's a
Hmm.
nice little conspiracy theory with Stu Snyder getting WWF a nice, easy deal and telling them to get rid of television so that Bischoff has no interest in it with his Fusion Media venture. So interesting stuff to kind of think about.
Oh, whatever. You can't make this stuff up in pro wrestling. It's great.
Yes. But I don't know. I'm leaning towards blaming. Well, not leaning. I think it's definitely was Brad Siegel. It was Jamie Kellner. It was all those guys in the corporate division killed it. I wouldn't blame Bischoff at all. I don't think
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't think so
yeah.
either.
And then some of the guys were blaming the talent, like Brad Siegel, who took no responsibility, which is great. Nash takes the video of Brad Siegel talking. He goes, "Look, this guy was the boss. He's taking no accountability whatsoever," which is so true. He literally pretends like, "Nope, no, I wouldn't have nothing to do with it. It was the talent's fault."
Yeah, well, I think they've already come out and said that nobody TBS liked the wrestling part of it.
Hated it,
So
except for Ted. Yep, except for
yeah,
Ted.
except for Ted. So why wouldn't they want to get it from out under their feet and wash their hands of it?
But thank you everybody for listening. Finish that, by the way. Check out Who Killed WCW on Vice. Guy Evans and the crew over there at Dark Side of the Ring. They did a great job with that. Check that out. But Dr. Tom, thank you. Thank you everybody for listening. See you right back here next week. Have a good one, folks.